I'm invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?
Good morning, everyone, and you are listening to Bound for Glory, the only AFL show on SIN. We got another massive show this week. We are covering all the games from Friday and yesterday, as well as previewing all the games today. And we'll look at the run homes of finals. We got 5 rounds till finals, so the top 8 is shaping up. It's going to be a very interesting 5 weeks until finals. First, we'll introduce the panel. I'm Ethan.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Peter.
I'm Damon.
And yesterday we had an interesting contest at the G, Collingwood GWS. I think most people would have comfortably tipped Collingwood, and that's how the result played out in the end, but not before 7 goals from Jeremy Cameron. He was absolutely on fire.
The freak. Superstar.
He is a ridiculously good footballer at such a young age, kicking 7 goals against, good defenders as well in Nathan Brown and Ben Reid. And, he's going to be an absolute superstar of the competition if he isn't already.
And you get all this talk bandied around like, oh, Buddy's worth not worth $2 million, but he's getting paid $2 million. Pay Cameron $2 million. He deserves it.
Seriously, I'd just hand him the checkbook. Here you go, take it and run. Whatever you want, you can have it.
Take Scharenberg in the draft with 1. Don't take Boyd. Let him go where he will, but don't go for Buddy.
I think Cameron's actually better than what Buddy was at the same stage of his career.
Well, I think, honestly, he's better than Buddy is now.
Yeah. He's a better kick.
Wayne Carey got up and about on Twitter. Someone asked him what his opinion on Cameron, and he said that he's never seen a young player move like Cameron has.
Probably not since the man himself.
Yeah, I probably think he's the best talent since Carey. So
Carey, it was in a year from now, I think, is when Carey really shone, when he was 21, and Cameron's 20 now, so we'll have to see how he does next year.
I'm ignorant. Where did he go in the draft, or was he his own?
He was his own pre-selection in the year before.
That's freakish luck, man. Yeah. He would...
Freakish concessions.
Getting players like him and Shield and Treloar, Bug, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I found yesterday going to the game that there was quite a bit. It was interesting that every time they'd kick it into him, Collingwood still didn't think about putting someone in front of him. That was the thing that was puzzling.
Anyway.
Yeah. Or just run around them on the boundary line. Lachlan Keefe.
Yeah,
they tried to. I mean, they mixed around. They had Brown in him in the first quarter. They switched to Keefe. Brown dropping back, but. When Cameron's on like that, it's hard to stop him. I mean, you could put 3 players on him, but it still allows other players to kick goals as well. So, it's a very difficult scenario that teams are going to have to face in the next few years with Cameron on fire.
And then Patton's going to come back as well, which is going to be crazy.
Patton and whoever knows with Tom Boyd and Lance Franklin as well. So, it's a formidable forward line. And players like, Christian Jacques and... There's a lot there.
There's a lot of good
There are a lot of players that still haven't played yet.
Hogging them.
And they're saying, you've got to have your specialist small forwards. I don't think GWS have any, really like Devon Smith, who can
Hoskin Elliott.
Hoskin Elliott, I suppose, but...
Ugle?
Ugly.
Yeah, ugly.
their forwards are as quick as small forwards, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Cameron pretty much plays like a small forward anyway. Good enough to do that. Pretty much business as usual for Collingwood. Swan another 39 lazy touches.
Yes. Another easy 3 Brownlow votes, I think. I've been really impressed with Dame Beam's comeback. I mean, Collingwood have obviously taken a while,
really making sure he's
been really making sure he's 100% by the time he's come in, and he's come in like he hasn't missed a game of footy this year. And I mean, you wouldn't think he's missed 15 or so. And he had another 30 yesterday. He's been straight back into the form he won, which gave him the Copeland Trophy last year.
Not Jared Witts, the other one.
Brody Grundy.
That's the one. His debut yesterday. It was pretty solid.
He was very solid.
He was really good. I would have had him in top 5, to be honest, for Collingwood.
And even Witts had a very good game, I think.
Both of them.
I hate watching football when he's playing. Why? Because it's my nickname, and every time they like if I'm watching like on my laptop or something and not looking at TV, every time the commentators say, "Oh, Witts has got the footy," I look up and go, "What? No, I haven't." It's annoying. he needs to retire for my personal convenience and his career.
We'll have to interview him, and you'll have to ask him then.
Yeah, a Wits on Wits interview. Nice. Get around that idea.
They're talking about tapes going around. Maybe you could get one going.
I could do. That would be terrible.
No, it was an interesting result, and really up until three-quarter time, it was in the balance. I think it was 1 point at three-quarter time. So,
it was obviously GWS were up by 16, I think, at half time, and everyone's sort of going, "Oh my, what is happening?"
Melting down on Twitter. Oh, it's happening again! Oh God!
But no, it was pretty confident that Collingwood were going to run over the top, because GWS, again, they lost to Essendon by 38, but they challenged them the whole game, and of course against Geelong they somehow lost by 10 goals after leading by 5 at one stage, and it's just the legs that sort of run out of steam. But in terms of Collingwood's run home, they've got no easy games left, so they really have to
You've got North. I mean, let's be honest.
No.
Easy
Well,
game.
they're like
Another 5-point win, probably.
yeah. Well, they got.
I'm sorry.
I can't. It's so hard supporting North Melbourne. It really is. Luke Ball was a laid out. Is he all right?
Oh yeah, he'll be. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like they're just resting.
that's
him,
good.
So.
And Ben Kennedy got his chance. Didn't have a great game, in my opinion. Was subbed out. That's what I mean. And then, thank you. And Jamie Elliott kicked quite an influential goal. Honestly, it really set the tone. It looked like even earlier in the game, it looked like Collingwood were going to steamroll them at the start of the second, I want to
Third opening, yeah.
And then Harry O'Brien had that horrible turnover, and then everything seemed to go back in GWS's favour. Although Harry did have a pretty good game back.
Yeah, it's full credit to GWS too, because they stuck with it. They played like a team that was willing to play for each other, where Collingwood played like a team that was willing to just rock up and do what they had to do. But
Well, Scott Pendlebury paid them one of the better compliments you can get at half-time when he said they were moving the footy like Hawthorn, and we know how well Hawthorn moved the footy. I mean, we saw that on Friday night, which we'll cover later, but you know, they do move the footy a lot like Hawthorn. I mean, that's probably some of Liam Cameron's influence when in his time working there. And you know, when they do move the footy and when you know they're linking up together through the centre, they're a very hard team to stop. I mean, even for a winless side, you know, they look a very good side when they are, you know, in full flight. But I think we'll move on to Adelaide Freo. That was a interesting contest up at Patterson Stadium, and Adelaide pushed them for a little while. I think, you know, that's part of, you know, the team that we've seen, you know, the good team that we've seen, you know, last year where they finished third, and you know they pushed Hawthorn all the way in a preliminary final. But you know, Freo too good in the end.
And it's honestly the game of the round so far, in my opinion. It's the closest, and it was really weird because Adelaide won basically every single stat except for the scoreboard, and possibly scoring shots. I think Fremantle had a few more scoring shots, but Adelaide's set shot kicking was woeful. At one point it was 3-9, I believe, and you can't do that and expect to win a game, especially against Fremantle, who I think had the equal lowest or second lowest number of inside 50s for a win.
It was equal lowest at 33. I mean, 33 inside 50s to win a game that's ridiculous. I mean, I would say it's unheard of, but it's happened twice before. So it's a funny game, you know, when things like that happen. I mean, Freo, to their credit, were good defensively. I mean, you know, Adelaide, when they did take their chances, I mean, Freo did defend very well. And, you know, to capitalise on 33 inside 50s and kick 11 goals, have 20 scoring shots, you know, that's a very good, you know, conversion rate, so credit to them.
I think in close games like that, low scoring games like that, is generally just, there's always one player or a couple of players that really stand up. I think last night, Nat Fyfe, I mean, 29 touches, 4 goals in a game where there's only 18 goals kicked. That's a massive effort.
Yeah, and especially, people talk a lot about barometers in teams. Stephen Hill would have to be Fremantle's barometer. I think the record is 13-1 when Stephen Hill gets more than 20 possessions.
Yep.
And when he doesn't, then they lose a lot of their games. So it's dependent on Fremantle getting their game up and running, basically, on how Stephen Hill's performing. So he's an amazing kick. You know, he runs like a gazelle. Is Lewis Jetta a left footer or a right footer?
I think he's a right.
He's like, I was going to say he's the left-footed Lewis Jetta, but
then Lewis Jetta might be the left-footed Lewis Jetta.
Exactly.
Yeah, clever.
Might be the clone. Anyway, but it was an entertaining game to watch. I think Sanderson said something about, you know, we should have won. You know, we were the better team all day, and then Ross Lyon labelled them also-rans, which was a nice little bit of banter between the two coaches. And
Nice guy, that Ross Lyon.
yeah, he's a quality bloke. And really it slams the door shut on any of Adelaide's prospects of making the top 8, you'd think.
Yeah.
And really solidifies Freo as probably getting the 3rd or 4th spot.
Well, they're still 5th.
Yeah,
so
5th at the moment.
Yes, but
And they've got
asterisk, but their run home is absolutely ridiculous. It's so easy.
Yeah.
and the lowest percentage of the top 5-ish.
I don't think Sydney will win all of their remaining games, and I think Fremantle have a very big shot.
But we will get to that later.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself there, pal.
Anyway, what next?
North Melbourne.
What a game! What
Yeah.
a classic, one for the ages.
Oh, absolutely.
It was an absolute spectacle.
I was going to say, speaking of top 4 percentages, because they have the 4th highest percentage at the moment.
Outside the top 4, North
And
Melbourne's
where
percentage.
are they on the ladder? They're probably 10th at the
Down in
moment, I'd
10th.
say.
Yeah.
Woo! Awesome.
Well, basically, it was a great game for your game plan.
I mean,
Bittersweet.
We have a Melbourne supporter. Ethan's a Melbourne supporter, and I'm honestly not sure how much you can take away from the game like this, because Melbourne were absolutely uncompetitive, completely diabolical, an absolute shambles. They kicked 1 goal 2 after half time and nothing in the last quarter, whereas North piled on an 8-6 in the last quarter, and
16-9 for the half.
there you go. I struggle to see where the improvement comes from with Melbourne's players. They're being carried by Nathan Jones, and
Jeremy Howe really tries as well.
he's a trier, but I'm not sure how long he can keep trying, because
Well, if the other 20 would try, that would be a nice change for starters.
I mean, Jack Fitzpatrick showed signs yesterday. He was pretty
I
good.
thought Max Gorn was Melbourne's best personally. I think, against a quality ruckman in Todd Goldstein, and he had a fantastic game. But it was a very good battle. I think Gorn, he tried his best in the ruck, and he did feed Nathan Jones well in the ruck. A few hit-outs to advantage, so he played well.
I mean, North Melbourne supporters everywhere should be entirely pleased with the result, but really the main thing that you take out of this game is that North have lost Andrew Swallow for pretty much 12 months.
Yep, sad thing.
Ruptured Achilles tendon, which is
Same thing that Roughhead had.
probably the worst one outside an ACL, I'd say, in terms of rehab and
In terms of time out of the game, it's behind the ACL.
They actually had footage on Fox Footy of Brad Scott getting delivered the news, and he was like,
he threw his head back. He's dismayed.
Yeah.
It's,
And then he had to do an interview straight after that, which was
they told him as he was walking to Barry Hall.
Yeah.
It's
making life easy for Baz.
Making life easy for Brad.
Yeah, I
It's
suppose.
not like I was saying. It's not something that you probably just go. All right, we got the 4 points. There's not a whole lot of lessons we can learn from this. We move on. North have got a tough run home, but I think it's Geelong, Adelaide, Collingwood, Hawthorn, and someone else. Oh, is that 5?
There's only 4 rounds, isn't it?
No, it's 5.
No, it's 5.
But I know you definitely face Adelaide, Essendon.
No, Essendon.
Looking at the disposal counter, I know this might be typical for a Melbourne game, but 439 to 290 disposals. Like, how does that even happen?
That's pretty
crazy.
regular.
I guess Melbourne. Yeah.
That's back to Mark Neild's stats, I
Yeah,
think.
that's ridiculous that a team can have that many more disposals. Like, that's like having 22 Dane Swans on a team or something. That's freaky.
Around what time in the game did Andrew Swallow have his
Third
injury?
quarter.
Third
Middle of
quarter.
third quarter.
And was Cunnington having a great game before that, or did he really shine? after
Cunnington was. Cunnington, what did he have?
Cunnington was great all
He
game.
had 8 touches in the first half, which isn't that great, but just the sheer volume of contested possessions that Cunnington gets, and the ability that he has to stand in tackles and deliver the footy still, he's going to get a chance to stand up.
The other big stats I saw there was 2 marks inside 50 to the D's, to North's 21. And the only one that I saw for the D's was Chris Dawes. He did all right. Standing up.
And people,
Lone figure.
and people in the crowd were blasting him all game when he wasn't getting anything from his midfield. So it was a funny contest. I think that showed what the delivery was like inside 50. North it was constant, and Melbourne it was average, well below average.
Was that Mark's inside 50, Damon, or just inside?
Yeah,
50?
Mark's inside 50.
Because they only had 2 inside 50s in general in the first quarter.
And the second one was
lost.
on the siren.
Yeah, which is quite ridiculous. Since 1999, it would have been the the next record for them.
And still, it was weird. North didn't really capitalise on it in the first half. I thought it was, the worst half of football I've seen all year. Personally, Melbourne, couldn't find the footy. And North Melbourne could, but they couldn't really do anything with the footy. I mean, they weren't kicking straight. Lindsay Thomas had his chances and he missed them, and the midfield was making constant mistakes. So, I mean, if North were on for the whole game, it would have been a lot more than 120
40
points.
scoring shots to 8. That's like park footy. That's
that is
park footy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. How can a team be so bad?
I remember that when I was playing under 10s. It was something along those lines.
That's like Albion North Footscray, like down at one of the crappy ovals in the western suburbs on a Saturday afternoon.
And they'd be playing Melbourne too.
Yeah. It's stunning to me how they could be so bad.
Yeah, and Swallow, for example, hasn't missed any games since 2009, so they're really going to miss him. Amazing tackle numbers, I think 100 more than anyone else in the competition in the past few years.
That time period.
Yeah.
It does give players like Cunnington and Zeeble a chance to stand up and show what they're made of now because they haven't got Swallow leading the way.
Yeah.
Just on Melbourne, I mean, where do they go from here? How do you fix them?
Oh, it's got to be a long-term fix because, I think you got to look. It sucks to hear it again, but I think you got to look to the draft as well. Do
you think they were thinking...
Like you have been in the last,
7 years?
Yeah.
Do you think they were saying, we beat the Dogs, they're not going to give us a priority pick anymore, better lose,
But there's no real, blossoming midfielders coming through. I mean, there's Nathan Jones who's been great. Sylvia was okay yesterday. Matt Jones was okay yesterday. But
what about that much vaunted young midfield? Where is the Trengove and where's Scully? How's Watts going in the key position?
Scully is more or less transformed into Jesse Hogan, who played well in the AFL yesterday.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good trade. What about Tumpus? He doesn't look anything like he did in the under 18s.
He was playing in the back half yesterday, and he was a pretty much representative of what the game was like. He was getting plenty of the footy in the back half, but whenever he did, he was confused almost. He was wondering what was going on.
A bit of lack of leadership, possibly.
He was second guessing himself. Maybe it's a lack of leadership. I mean, Jack Grimes didn't have a very good game yesterday. Trengove didn't have a very good game yesterday. I mean, they're still young players. I don't think you can count on them every single week, but in saying that, they are the captains. I mean, you should be counting on them every single week. So it's an interesting conundrum, really.
It says a lot that I watched the game yesterday. It says a lot that the person that stood out to me the most wasn't, a top 5 or top 10 draft pick. It was Mitch Clisby. And who is Mitch Clisby? Like
the Cliz.
Did he win a competition to get on the list or something? It says a lot that he stands out the most amongst a midfield that has players like Trengove and Tumpus, and Watts was playing apparently. It's weird. It is. And it's a weird situation.
I know it's a weird thing to say for not a rookie, but a first-year player in the AFL. They really missed Dean Turlick. And his
I noticed that within the first 5 minutes yesterday. They were giving it to players like Tumpus and Frawley, and Pedersen to kick it out of the fence, and they were looking for someone who could kick it long and kick it straight, and they had no one else.
Yeah, and Turlick, he doesn't have impeccable foot skills, but he at least has the courage to back himself and constantly.
And he's reliable without being outstanding.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think players like Tumpus yesterday, at least, and Pedersen and Dunn Dunn's an okay kick, but he wasn't getting much of it. I mean, he was focusing on Lindsay Thomas, but players like those, they weren't really doing much with kicking out of defence, and North kept finding it.
And do you think they're going to stick with Craig as the coach, or do you think they're still going to look outside? I mean, Ruse has publicly said, no, I'm not going to coach, but Hurd said that with Essendon. Mark Williams is I would think a pretty good option. Although
if you can get him out of Richmond,
I would be sad to lose him from Richmond. He said he's had the fire to coach a senior side though, so it is quite possible.
Rodney Eade.
Another possibility.
With Ruse, is he perhaps holding out for the West Coast job to see what Worsfold does?
Possibly.
Because whispers are that Worsfold doesn't want to go around for another year.
Yeah, he doesn't seem all that enthusiastic.
There's a bit either way. I mean, we've heard that Worsfold, does want to stay, and then we've heard that, he's tiring, he's considering his future, so you never know what's happening there. Ruse might be looking at both offers and saying, okay, I'll let these play out. If Melbourne hear that I'm being offered something from West Coast, they'll bump up their offer. If West Coast see that Melbourne are pushing up their offer, West Coast will do the same, and he can get a lot of money out of this. It's like contract negotiations with a player almost. So he'll probably wait things out and decide things September or so, see where his future is.
And they wouldn't want to spend too much money either, because they're not getting this guaranteed bonus pack from the AFL. It's all condition based, so you're not just going to get a big lump sum and then just throw it at Paul Roos, for example.
I want to move away from the coach. I just want to ask, is a senior player someone who is a pretty talented footballer, or at least gives off the illusion that he is so? Yesterday he was subbed, had 6 touches. Aaron Davey is someone that should be standing up and leading this side, and he shows no interest. He shows absolutely no capability of being able to stand up in tough times. You're raising your hand, go.
I saw one kick from Aaron Davey yesterday. It went straight to Ben Cunnington inside 50. So, that pretty much summed up his game. He couldn't find the footy, and when he did, he didn't do very much with it at all. So
they subbed Aaron Davey, who had 4 touches to half-time. Sam Blease had 1 touch to half-time. Ended up with the gargantuan total of 4 for the game and didn't get subbed. It's just another player that hasn't really come on underneath the Melbourne development system.
It's weird. I remember seeing Melbourne versus Sydney last year when they got thumped by 100 points, and Blease had 30 disposals and 10 clearances against what we know is a very good midfield. And I thought, this might be a top draft pick, really establishing himself. And since then, he kicked 5 against St Kilda and hasn't done anything else. It's weird.
And the thing that gets me about Davey, just back onto that point, is the lack of passion that he seems to have. I know he clearly loves playing football, but after the game he's all smiles and great game, buddy, but you should be pissed off, honestly, with the way that you're playing week in, week out.
With the unbelievable regularity that Melbourne lose, maybe he's just gotten used to it. Sorry, that was really mean.
I think they're all used to it, Jordan.
I think that he'd probably be seeking out options potentially at the end of the year,
But
like
he's not-
David could too.
he doesn't have much left.
He doesn't have any currency.
He's on a decent contract at Melbourne. I mean, off his 2009, 2010 seasons, he's on a fairly decent contract. He's not going to get half what he's being paid at Melbourne anywhere else.
Yeah, he was offered a big pay packet by Essendon back then, wasn't he? And then he just decided to stay with
no,
Melbourne.
I'm going to stay with Melbourne, and not much has happened since.
Got some other games to cover.
We do.
Spent a while on this.
But first off, we'll head to some SYN messages, and we'll be right back with the other games from Friday and Saturday.
I think, by and large, Australian journalists do a pretty bloody good job.
A Viagra, if you like, for women.
Shouting at the TV is not the best way to get things done.
Panorama, news and current affairs on SYN. Panorama, Melbourne's youngest newsroom.
I mean, how can something be non-lethal when people have died?
Hey, happy Valentine's Day. It's also International Condom Day. Would you like, one of our condoms? It seems like such a grotesque amount of waste of money.
This is not the Soviet Union. The government doesn't mandate that people can't drive a car.
It's like throwing tear gas, concussion grenades. 2 students lost eyes.
I think the sole purpose of Grindr is to meet people to have sex with.
Hey, sit up and listen to us. Take us more seriously, please.
Tune in to Panorama, 4:30 weekdays on SYN.
Objection, 5 to 6 p.m. weekdays and 8 to 10 a.m. weekends.
Hi, I'm Shreyas, and I once tripped over a blind man's walking stick.
Objection on SYN.
Come onto the dark side. Go to syn.org.au/get involved. Become a sinner. It's devilishly fun.
You're back on Bound for Glory on SYN, the only footy show on SYN. Be sure to text in on 0427 767 767. We'll try and read out your tweets if we get the time.
Or online. Syn.org.au. You can send in a free web message, so make sure to do that.
Literally no excuse for you not talking to us.
Now, we're going to discuss the Carlton Gold Coast game, which was pumped up to be quite an interesting game. Honestly, it was. The final margin, in my opinion, flattered the Carlton Football Club, 43 points, but it was really close up until about three-quarter time. Whenever Carlton seemed to go and get a few goals, Gold Coast would get them back, but the scoring shots was absolutely skewed in Carlton's favour. Damon's raising his hand, really wants to contribute.
It reminds. I was watching the game and I had flashbacks to last year, the last round when we went down to the Suns, and it was the same problem.
I was hoping for it to happen again.
It was the same problem again. The scoring shots. I remember last time we just sprayed them, and I thought
you kicked 12-20 that game, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep. So now it was worse.
It was worse.
16-24, 40 scoring shots to 22.
Yeah.
So almost double. But
let's talk about Lockie Henderson.
Yes.
Fire away, my friend. Yeah.
He needs to stay forward.
Yes, he does.
He needs to stay forward. There's no use putting him down back. He's a good defender, but we're not going to win games with him defending scores.
And
we need someone to kick scores for us.
You know what the sad Heath, you know what the sad thing is when Jared Waite comes back from was he suspended or injured? One of the two.
Injured.
Both.
When he comes back, it'll be Lockie Henderson at centre half back, and Jared Waite will play a couple of games, and then he'll hit someone, and we'll go back to where we are now.
The best thing we can hope for is Waite retiring. If that's going to happen, then yeah.
Big swing up. So who replaces Henderson down back then? I mean, Watson's come in. I mean, how would he go against good forwards? I mean, playing against a team like Gold Coast who haven't really got
anyone
good tall forwards at the moment. Players that aren't kicking 2 goals a game, but besides Campbell Brown and probably Gary Ablett as well.
They would only have Stephen May up forward, but he had to play back with Rory Thompson as a laid out. So.
And I thought they were 2 huge outs. I mean, probably 2 of the bigger outs you can have. Late, 90 minutes before a game. Rory Thompson and Dion Prestia, the second best midfielder, comfortably behind Ablett this year. So I think from that point, Gold Coast weren't really going to win. I think missing those players was huge.
And Nichols going down, of course, as well.
Nichols going down, unfortunately,
providing agony for Supercoach players everywhere.
Yes. I feel
and that's about it.
That's about it. But I mean, Yaron had a better game in my opinion. He didn't get many disposals at the start of the game, but his pressure acts were right on at the start. And I think in the first 5-10 minutes, he already had 4 pressure acts, which is a big reversal of what he'd previously had. Kicked an early goal, which was great for his confidence, and he looked like he wanted to be out there a lot more than he has in previous weeks.
He's not a player that needs 20 disposals to have his impact on the game. I remember his game at Patterson Stadium against West Coast where he had 12, 13 disposals, and he was the best player on the ground. He kicked 4 goals, had about 30 running bounces or something. But he's one of those players that he needs to hit the scoreboard, he needs to pressure, he needs to be rewarded for that. And he kicked 2 goals yesterday. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. He'll take that away as a good performance.
Ed Curnow played on Gary Ablett.
Did quite a good job.
Yeah, Ablett still had 32 touches, which is a down week, and terrible to drop him. But Curnow had 22 touches himself, and probably limited Ablett's influence.
And was it Robinson that made Ablett snap in the game? I know he pushed and gave away what was basically looking as a certain goal for the Gold Coast, and then Ablett whacked one of them to the ground and basically gave away the free kick, which is very un-Ablett-like for starters.
Was it after Robinson? There was a centre bounce and then a clearance, and Robbo ran through and pretty much it was sort of a half shirt front, half hip and shoulder. And
I think so. Yeah,
Ablett, it might have gotten to
and
his
then
head.
Ablett got up and.
Is Mitch Robinson pretty much in the team only to be an antagonist?
Yeah.
Doesn't go after the football. It just makes everyone's day miserable.
Well, it really works against teams like the Gold Coast because they are young bodies and he is a bully, basically.
He's a bully. He's a bully that can play football very well.
He's a raging bull. It didn't help that Gold Coast Suns have red in their jumper as well, so...
Yeah.
It's like red to a bull.
I wanted to see him line up on Campbell Brown a few times. That would have been great to see. But... I think the Suns have really come on this year. GWS will probably have a year like the Suns next year, which
you'd hope so. I think for the good of the competition, they'd hopefully have 7 or 8 wins next year.
And it really depends on the acquisitions that they get in the off season as well. And the Gold Coast are probably looking for a forward as well, wouldn't you think?
I think with players like Lynch and Day and May and
Dixon
as well.
Dixon was great again.
They're 4 players that can and have played as tall forwards. So I think they'll be right for that. Once these players come on, they'll be dangerous.
Definitely. And as well, the Friday night game was quite interesting with Hawthorn coming up against Essendon. Another shellacking at the hands of Hawthorn. All the games they've played against the top 8, with the exclusion of Geelong, they've won by at least 30 points, I believe, which is...
They can snub every team but Geelong.
Yeah.
So Geelong will probably win the flag.
I really want a grand final with Geelong and Hawthorn. I really
That's
do.
the way it's looking, because, Hawthorn are pretty much unshakable from top position now. I mean, even with their 2 losses to Hawthorn, they have a fantastic percentage, which is bolstered last night against, the team that was 3rd on the ladder. With an asterisk.
I was going to say, that reminds a lot of 2011, where Collingwood and Geelong. Collingwood were the top team. Geelong lost a couple of matches they probably shouldn't have, like they have this year, but Collingwood only lost to Geelong, then had to beat Geelong in the final. Yeah. So, and I don't know what happened from there.
Oh, okay.
It was just a haze.
Yeah.
But this year, it could be the same.
Out forever.
So, but yeah, that's something that really... reminds me of.
It was only a 38-point grand final loss, Peter.
It was good.
And Lance Franklin pretty much just does what he wants against Essendon every single time.
Yep.
It's frightening.
Well, they opened up the forward line for him, and I think, he's not a great overhead mark, but I think he really did expose Jake Carlisle. I mean, Roughhead played up the ground. He still kicked 4 goals, and, Franklin one-on-one was just devastating. They opened up the forward line for him and, just delivered it high and long to him. Yeah. And he was plucking them from everywhere.
The Hawthorn men played it to perfection.
Oh, yeah,
they did. Really, when it was possible, they ran it along the ground so he could just pick it up and use his agility to outplay Carlisle, basically. Carlisle, he hasn't had a great 2 weeks. I think he got, was it 6 goals kicked on him last week or something ridiculous like that?
He's had the bag of Jared Waite kicked on him. He kicked 7 on him, and although he was playing forward and back that game, I think he just needs to stay down back personally. I think, playing forward and back has probably shaken him a little bit. I think, he's more comfortable down back. He was having an all-Australian year. I'm not sure how solid that is now, but... For the sake of his development, I mean, he's played 40 games.
Yeah.
It's good to have him playing forward and back, but, for the time being, keep him in the spot where he's most comfortable and most effective.
Now, I have a bone to pick with Essendon. Oh, not Essendon, but everyone's portrayal of... I got to make this about Richmond. Richmond, where everyone is always saying, who have Richmond beaten? They haven't beaten anyone, which... to be fair, is true. We haven't played Sydney and Hawthorn yet, but do today. But who have Essendon beaten?
Freo at Patterson.
Well, we lost by 1 point against them. And they beat Richmond as well. But they haven't beaten Geelong. They haven't beaten Hawthorn. They haven't beaten Sydney. Yeah, by in the last minute or so.
Well, who else has beaten Freo at Patterson's this year?
Not Richmond. Loss. 1 point loss. And the goal
happened there?
No, that does not count.
Here comes the umpiring farce.
They did block the shot. But essentially, it's the same as Fremantle as well. Who have Fremantle beaten?
North.
In the top 8, who have they beaten?
I don't know.
Oh, they drew with Sydney.
Yes. That was a good comeback, I'll admit that. But
they've beaten Richmond.
Oh, no,
yeah, we beat them. Aggregate scores, Richmond is ahead of Fremantle in head-to-heads.
They're 1-1, Matt. They're 1-1.
By 25 points.
Don't worry.
They've beaten Collingwood, and they've beaten... Who's the other member of the top 8? They've beaten
Port.
Oh, they've beaten Carlton, haven't they?
Oh, Carlton.
Yeah. They've beaten Carlton and Port. So there we go. I mean, they're beating the sides below them. I mean...
That's all you can ask.
If they're beating sides 5 to 8, they probably deserve to be in the top 4.
Yeah. I'll pay that.
Such is Richmond.
Such is Richmond.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. At least we're in the top 8 and not, second last. All right, what else we got?
We've got Cat Saints. It was an absolute demolition job. After quarter time, the scores were level at quarter time. It was 25 apiece, and I was thinking, okay, here we go. We're actually going to have a good contest besides Freo Adelaide, and then since then it was 112 to 11.
17 goals to 1 after quarter time.
Yep.
That's
goalless second half.
It's wow.
Yep. And
I don't know where to start.
Yeah, do we?
Well, I want to ask you a question. How has Scott Waters got off so easily?
Because they're quote-unquote rebuilding, and Essendon have fallen into an abyss, and Richmond need a... I don't know, no, Richmond, West
Melbourne?
Coast coaching, Melbourne need a new coach, and
Adelaide
everyone's just sort of
dropping
gone...
off.
Everyone's just sort of gone, go about your business. Go, you go play over
there. They get
there.
a 1 year free pass,
You
I
go
think.
sit at the kids' table, and no one cares. No, that's the most accurate way of putting it. No one cares.
Well, St Kilda and the Doggies, I mean, they're two young sides that I think we wouldn't exactly tip to, be in the 8 to 12, 13 brackets. So.
But they were 9th last year, St Kilda.
They were 9th last year with senior players doing better, but
Rewalt's
plus
having
Brendan Goddard.
a best season, one of his best seasons in the past 5 years or so. Thank you. I've got there eventually.
I was noticing you struggling with that one. That was
who's doing well in their midfield? I mean, there's Montagna,
Jack Stephen.
There's Montagna, and there's Jack Stephen, and nothing.
Lenny tried. He got injured, but he tried.
It's so
Lenny,
bad for Lenny.
Not Lenny.
He's a nice bloke.
Just want to give him a hug.
Oh, don't start with that argument. He's such a nice bloke who's been thrown around way too much in the past 2 months.
Top bloke.
But yeah, you'd struggle to find where all of St Kilda's improvements coming from. Tom Lee is looking like an impressive forward prospect. But who are their other mids coming through? I mean,
Jack Nunes. Excuse me, that was me yawning and trying to talk at the same time. Jack
but
Nunes.
he's more of a half-back flanker, isn't he?
Yeah, but there's two, pretty much.
He's a player that's got a crack in
midfield.
midfield.
Yeah. Who else have we got here?
Josh Saunders.
Jaron Geary?
No, Josh Saunders isn't very good.
Yes, he's a gun.
He's a gun on your Supercoach bench. That's the only reason you care about him.
David Armitage is pretty good.
Yeah, Armitage is good, but he doesn't string games together. I think that's what St Kilda need at the moment.
They've got players there that have talent, but for whatever reason, they're just not fulfilling their 100% potential.
Yeah, fair.
Farron Ray, he's another one.
Oh God,
Fazza.
They need to gut this side at the end of the year and really.
Will Rewalt retire? Will Rewalt retire? Will Rewalt retire?
No, I think he'll get another year. I think Del Santo should be traded. Because
no, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I think what St Kilda do need is midfielders that do have an impact on the contest. I mean, if St Kilda midfielders like Saunders or Nunes or Sipos or someone like that are trying to crack the midfield and they're being supported by Montagna and Stephen, and next is probably Clint Jones and David Armitage, who we know don't play every single week. It's not exactly great for development. We have seen that with Melbourne, I suppose. Retiring players like James McDonald or Brad Green dropping off pretty quickly. There isn't much to learn off. I think that's where the Doggies are doing okay. There's players like Griffin and Boyd, and Cross is still in the VFL, but he was good before that. And
they mic'd up Gia during a game, and he was very supportive of all his young
players like Gia and Murphy, and there's still Dal Morris down back, and there's a lot of players that young players can learn off, and I think that's very important. You can't just throw young players into the abyss and say, okay, you're a talented player, go play your heart out. There's no one to learn off, there's no one to develop off.
Yeah, but I think there's a few too many senior players still in the team. How many of their side is over 27, 28 when they're supposed to be rebuilding every week? And that's a worry for me. Like, Clint Jones is, too old. Leon Tanya's a great player, so I think he should stay. I think Del Santo really has some currency, and that's why they should trade him, because he's got the ability to garner a first round or early second round pick.
No, he won't command that high, I don't think, when he's got 2 years left in him. Brian Lake didn't get very much. He got a swap of...
Maybe a pick upgrade then?
He got a swap of picks in the 20s, and after that, pick 41. So, you don't get much for players that are 30 years old.
All right, buddies. Give me... St Kilda are going to get a top 5 draft pick, probably.
Yep. Pick 3 or 4, probably.
Give me one word, midfielder, forward, or defender, that they need to recruit.
Midfield.
Join in. You're here too.
Yeah, midfield or forward. I think if they finish below the Bulldogs...
one word.
Slash.
You've given me
put the little slash in there.
At least 20 by now.
I reckon if they're ahead of the Bulldogs, I reckon they take Boyd, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Well, if Boyd slips to them,
No, surely they won't get...
So do they look at
below Bulldogs?
Do they look at Boyd for a long-term replacement for Rewalt?
Oh, they should.
He can be a short-term replacement for Cozzy, for Stanley, for whoever the hell else they play down there.
You could replace Cozzy with probably a 5th round draft pick at the moment.
Because Tom Lee could play a third tall.
Sorry, keep going, Pete.
Replace him with a pass.
With the cardboard cover.
I think the other one is definitely Dominic Sheed, who's the midfielder that can hit the scoreboard as well. Someone they really need. So
do they need
a line-breaking midfielder? Wouldn't be too bad for St Kilda.
That's not what Sheed is, though, is it?
He's not a line break. That's the one weakness.
They need James Kelly. Josh Kelly.
Yeah, he's more of a. Josh. Well.
Geelong would probably be angry.
Yeah, well, he's more of a Brad Ebert type player but gets a lot more of the ball. Probably uses even a little bit more than Ebert.
They could do with a Brad Ebert, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. The one thing he doesn't have is burst speed, but apart from that, he's pretty good otherwise. So.
Yeah, I think they need that. They need the ball in their hands a lot more often, St Kilda, because they tend to really just give it up to the opposition, and I feel like they're still a little bit in Ross Lyon mode, because they've got a lot of older players still playing, so they would have been familiar with the Lyon game plan, so his game plan is really... It's all right if the opposition get the ball, we're going to strip it from them and then, counter-attack, but that's not the way that Waters is trying to get the players to play, and it really kind of conflicts with between the younger and the older brigade, and it's a bit of confusion in my opinion.
I think what's harming them a little bit is the fact that there aren't many players in the 23 to 28 bracket. I mean, there's Stephen who's 23, there's Armitage who's 25, and there isn't much else, which is going to be a problem because free agency this year isn't very deep. There aren't many talented players who would be that effective in the St Kilda midfield at the moment. So, I think almost they could look to the VFL. They could draft someone like Miles Sewell, who, I mean, he's been doing well for years. And, there's tons of other players. I mean,
Chris Kane's having a really good year in the VFL.
Chris Kane is one of them. I mean, there's players that get picked up from the VFL, the SANFL, the Waffle every single year. I think St Kilda could look to that. They got rookie picks. They should use them.
And if half of them come off, good for them.
Exactly.
They have the time, I think, to rebuild because, like Witt said, no one cares, and they don't really need to impact within 1 year, so they've got a couple of years to really make it work.
We haven't really spoken a lot about Geelong because I think this is pretty much the business as usual.
Yeah.
They haven't really been doing it that much the last maybe this year, but if you think back to their glory days, they could pile on 6-8 goals like that, click the fingers, and they did that last night. And
they were whacked by a lot of people for being arrogant last week again in the loss against Adelaide, and I think this was really a statement to say, hold on,
shut up,
we're bloody Geelong.
Yeah.
The greatest team of all.
I think it was hold on. Let's get a couple of really big wins under our belt so we can actually kickstart the run to finals. I mean, this is about when Sydney kicked on last year. They won the flag. I think Geelong did it as well in 2011. So they've had big wins against Melbourne and St Kilda. I mean, they're not formidable teams, of course, but you win by 100 points against any side, you're going to be really confident for the next couple of weeks.
I think Sydney played Geelong in one of the last few rounds, so that'll be a really interesting clash.
Yeah, so I think they'd be building to that at the moment.
Geelong lost Dawson Simpson pretty early.
That looked nasty.
Yeah, and then Nathan Vardy pretty much stepped up. So the Cats proving again that they've got depth at every position.
Where's McIntosh? Is he?
He's injured.
Is he? I thought he was nearly back.
Yeah,
no, he's back.
He is constantly injured.
Yeah, poor guy. So Trent West probably gets a call.
Yeah, West had come in. Which is a shame because Dawson Simpson's been doing really well. The clearance and hit-out stats have been well up since he's come into the side. But I think we should go to some sim messages. Keep texting us in on 0427 767 767 or online at sim.org.au. We'll be back after this.
Not listening to Objection is criminal.
Does the brain generate as much power as either a 10-watt or a 20-watt light bulb?
10 watt or 20 watt? Let's go 20 watt.
Sorry,
no,
it's 10
damn
watt.
it. It's 10 watts, damn it. How did they measure that? Was it like luminosity or something?
I'm not sure. Just humanbody.net tells me these things, so aren't checked for the fact. I'm not a scientist, I have other things that I do.
Objection. 5 to 6 weekdays.
8 a.m. weekends.
Ain't nobody got time for that, but y'all got time for Panorama. Panorama. Current affairs for young people, by young people. 4:30 to 5 p.m. weekdays. On SYN.
Your face looks better bleeding. Mosh Pit on SYN, the place to get the best punk and metal going round. Thursday nights from 9 on SYN.
Objection, 5 to 6 p.m. weekdays and 8 to 10 a.m. weekends.
I'm Kenton, and I once had blood transfusions with a goat.
Objection on Sin.
Schools on Air with Homeschooling College.
Quiz on Air Cupcakes for all.
Sin Media Learning teaches media skills to young people all across Victoria.
Teach leadership and teamwork through radio.
Use digital media to build literacy.
Gain confidence through creative screen projects.
Sin Media Learning is a leader in school and community media education.
Find out more. Head to syn.org.au/learn
or call 9925 4747.
Hey Belle, I got us a new sound effect. We are so the Pooh Show right now.
Not the Pooh Show. Is that because our name is Double Dump?
Yeah, of course it is. See, it works perfectly.
That's disgusting.
I reckon we do it. Okay, so Double Dump on Sin.
I will never share with you the real reason why I thought Double Dump. Oh, stop it!
Double Dump with Blakey and Belle.
Sundays 1 p.m. on Sin.
You're back on Sin with Bound for Glory. Be sure to text us in again, 0427 767 767, or online at sin.org.au. We would love to hear your opinion.
Yes,
Going to talk now about the race to the finals, that coveted 8th and 9th spot, which has a big asterisk against
Yeah, we were
it.
told by our producer during the break that it's a wild card position because Essendon are horrible, cheating,
scum,
dishonest,
good bloke,
hot messes,
good bloke messes,
hot garbage.
Well, really, up until Brisbane, who are what, 18, 17, 14th on the ladder.
Well,
It
was
really-
Gold Coast as well. It's 14th. And then Brisbane.
You can pretty much mount a case for just about anyone.
13th.
Yeah, Brisbane and above to make the finals.
Yeah.
When we start
GWS for a late run.
when we start talking about mathematically possible, and I'm doing big air quotes as I say that, you're pretty much shot.
Yeah.
If you start talking about mathematically possible, that's it. Season's over.
So that applies to from 10th to 13th. So North, West Coast, Adelaide, Brisbane.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Because they're 2 games behind.
Yeah, it's mathematically possible for those teams to make the finals, but theoretically,
I'll even cut Brisbane because their percentage is woeful.
I think all those teams mentioned will be praying Brisbane win today, because if Port win, that makes it very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So
I would say impossible.
yeah, exactly. Because then obviously Carlton are there, but Carlton can also beat the very top sides. I don't think Port can do that yet, but
They did. Oh, they have.
They beat Sydney and Collingwood.
Yeah. Collingwood aren't a top side. Sydney are,
Yes, they
but
are.
they're not.
They're
not
good.
even a top
They're a very good side. They're not a great side. And it's definitely a scalp for them to beat them. And yeah, really, it's only that 8th and 9th spot that are really up for grabs, but it looks like Carlton and Port have it covered. And great for Port. Good on them, because at the start of the year, everyone was writing them off. They were saying, third last. I thought they would be better than third last. I thought like 12th or 10th or something like that. But for them to be, legitimate contenders and knocking off great sides is just a testament to Hinkley and Koshy and how they've got the club up and running, and great recruiting in the off-season with Monfries and Ebert. And
so if we run down the ladder, so Hawthorn pretty much. It's hard to see them losing the minor premiership.
Yeah,
they're still going to play Collingwood in the run home.
Who
Yes,
they
Pete, I know
beat,
you don't think
who they
Collingwood
beat
are
every
good.
single time.
Yeah, they will smash us. We'll have to bring the lube for that one.
They've also got St Kilda on a Friday night in a couple of rounds. That'll be a murder.
Their percentage goes up to 150 or something.
Richmond next week.
Richmond next week.
They have Sydney in the last round, though.
So
That's
it's not
gonna
a
be the question mark.
it's not a piss easy run home, but it's difficult. They don't have to play Geelong, so it's difficult to see them losing the top spot. Geelong are in second. They're a game clear of third.
behind by 6%.
Yeah.
from Hawthorn.
That's for 6 points ahead of third.
Geelong still have to play North Melbourne again. I think that's next week. They've also who else have they got? Sorry, which running fixtures as well.
Who's this? Sorry,
Geelong.
Geelong.
Port Adelaide.
And they've got Sydney as well. Geelong. which should be very interesting.
That could shape, just a little bit of the composition of the top four, Geelong
Because
versus
Sydney obviously plays Geelong and Hawthorn in those last couple of rounds. Which
Sydney have
will
a relatively hard run home, especially compared to Fremantle.
They are playing pretty out of this world of football, though.
They are. And they're just, thinking about their midfield is just...
It's horrible. It makes me cry.
But if you think about it, that means that the last two rounds, this could be a difference for Sydney between playing a home final and an away final. So it's massive for them.
I think Sydney are even chance to miss the top four if they have a bad, run home.
Yeah. Well, Richmond is 6 points behind.
Yeah.
They are.
And
I
so
think
are Collingwood.
Fremantle will make top four.
You've got Essendon there.
Essendon will get their points stripped.
Yeah. Essendon don't have the... Let's play quote unquote nice guys and say that Essendon won't get their points stripped.
Okay, they're locked for top four then.
They're still going to play West Coast here. I would say if they weren't going to get their points stripped, they would probably be a lock for top four.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They're...
What? They are.
They are going to get their points stripped.
There's a big question mark over that at the moment. I think with the revelations, over the past couple of days, it doesn't look likely that they will play finals. But, I think Richmond overtaking Freo possibly isn't... Well, not Freo, Sydney, sorry, isn't really... It's an interesting point. I mean, what's Richmond's run home like?
It's not ridiculously easy. Sydney, Hawthorn... Brisbane, Carlton, GWS, Essendon.
Okay, scratch that idea.
No, because it's possible for us, for Richmond to beat Brisbane and GWS and Carlton.
I'd put those down as wins, definitely.
And Essendon in round 23.
That would be a huge game.
When they could have sanctions against them already.
Even with or without sanctions, that's a huge game.
It is. And historically, Richmond does have a very, very good record against Sydney and Hawthorn. Not just last year when they did beat both sides, the grand finalists, but even when the Richmond side was absolutely rubbish in 2010, they beat Sydney, and the only loss in the past few years has been by 10 points.
That was at the MCG, though. All of those, wasn't it?
Yeah, we haven't
played them up in Sydney for all.
That was 2011, and we lost by 10 points, and the kicking was very inaccurate that day. So, and I'd say that Richmond...
Bad kicking's bad footy.
It is, but we were very bad back then.
It must really suck this year, I was going to say, for teams like Collingwood and Richmond. When you look at the top four, let's assume Essendon are out of the equation, which would be unfortunate because you'd love to play them in a semi. Because you've got Hawthorn and Geelong, who, if they lose, then you're playing them in Melbourne, and they're the two best sides.
Yep.
The other two lose, Sydney and Freo, and you're travelling interstate, and you know how tough they are at their home grounds.
I'm just happy to be playing finals. I'm sorry. I'm psyched.
Those last two spots at the 8 there, Collingwood and Carlton.
Collingwood's locked.
Yeah.
I would love to see them play each other in an elimination final first week of the finals.
Oh, yes, please.
So if Collingwood could somehow get to 5, that'd be great.
No, they just need to stay exactly as it is now. Right? Oh, no.
No,
I'm an idiot.
We'd play Richmond. I'd be happy playing Richmond.
Well, they're 7 and 8 at the moment, and you think they would finish 6 and 7, the way they're going. So Collingwood Carlton elimination final.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Fasten to get their points straight. I'm not an idiot.
Bloody work.
So
we're getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly, but
slowly but surely.
So Port Adelaide,
Yes.
Yeah, through the asterisks.
Yeah, due to the...
the top 9 minus Essendon is the lock, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm of agreement.
And then
Unless something terrible happens to either Port or Carlton, I can't see another team.
Then you've got North Melbourne, West Coast Adelaide, Brisbane, Gold Coast. All, mathematically possible, but nah.
No.
Yeah, again, we bring up mathematically possible.
Yep.
I think it's getting more...
Moving on to today's games. Who have we got first
Talking
up?
about Sydney and Richmond.
Yes, the good game today. Hopefully it's not a blowout. I think the team selections, they've gone with very different philosophies, both teams. Sydney are playing very, very tall. They've got Pike, Mumford, Tippett, Everett and White. And Richmond don't have the talls to combat that if they play them all on the forward line.
But they have the smalls.
They do have the smalls. There were 4 ends because it is a Sunday game. Where it was Astbury or Tuck that, in my opinion, that was the in for Jake King, who was out with a hamstring, and they decided to go with Tuck. So I'm assuming that, given that it's a small ground, they're going to back the run and really play running football, try and out-slingshot Sydney. which is going to be a very difficult prospect at the SCG.
Is it just me, or does anyone else get really angry when they watch TV and they see the SCG on TV?
No.
What, just from the slanted
The
camera angle?
ground just makes me really angry when I watch TV. Like, if Sydney are playing great football, they've got an awesome side, brilliant contested midfield. But for the life of me, when I watch football and they're playing at the SCG, I hate it.
Well, what did the SCG do to you?
I know, I don't
Where
understand.
did it touch you?
Is it the padded fencing? Is
It's
that what
just
does
the
it for you?
aesthetics. It must be the QBE logos that are just plastered over absolutely everything. But for some reason, it just gets me really angry.
It must be the OCD kicking in because the camera is actually not in the centre of the ground.
Yeah, it's like in the half-forward flank.
It's pretty much in the half-forward flank.
And you have to, if the ball's down the other end, you have to squint your TV, and then all you can see is QBE everywhere. It's just one of those things. It just makes me really angry. I'm going to tip Sydney, although I'm really excited to see how Richmond go in finals.
Last week, when we were debating Fremantle-Richmond, I said I would be very disappointed if Richmond didn't win. Thankfully, Richmond won. This week, I'm hoping Richmond win. I don't think they'll win, but I think they have a 30-40% chance of winning.
Well, this is their first real game against a top 3 or 4 side. I mean, bar Freo, who they played twice. So this is a real big,
it's a big test. And if Sydney wins, then that's the top 4 locked. But if Richmond wins, then Richmond are within 2 points of the top 4, which is it's a tantalising prospect.
So I am tipping Sydney. You are tipping.
Oh, I have to tip Richmond.
Yeah, I tip with the heart, not with the head. Eve,
I'll tip Sydney.
Boys,
5 goals.
Yeah, I'm Sydney. Yeah,
I'm going Sydney. Richmond haven't beaten the Swans at the SCG for 9 years, so it's a big stat.
How crap have we
been good for 9 years?
It's been good for 9 years.
Exactly.
The Battle of the Western whatever. The
Dogs of the West.
The Dogs and the Eagles.
A lot of outs.
Interestingly, merge them together and you'd have a Griffin, and there is a Ryan Griffin playing. I'm just gonna let. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, is Griffin a lion, not a dog?
I don't know. It is. I saw this on the TV the other day. I don't know.
In Canada, my school's mascot was the Griffin, so I know
it
this.
seems like an odd thing to merge with
a lion.
Just
It's a lion.
Is it just a schnauzer? Like
it's a lion.
What a fine. I don't care anymore.
Anyway, West Coast have a lot of big outs.
I don't
look. See.
Who? They have obviously Adam Goods isn't playing for. That's not Adam Goods. That's his brother Brett.
Darren Glass, Adam Selwood,
just done.
Mark Lacroix, Nick Nutnui, and Luke Shuey all out for West Coast.
Tanking.
Which is huge.
Tanking.
Especially over in Melbourne. You probably didn't need to risk them against Western Bulldogs, who aren't a fantastic side. They're a great contested side, which might get them across the line, but Brett Goods being out is quite big. Nathan Horovat as well. But good old Boyd is back in.
Cousin Horvat, what?
Boyd is back in
the one that
team.
they're not tanking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be hard now with St Kilda with only 3 wins and them with 4. So, come on, Dogs, keep up the tank.
Yeah, I'm going to go right ahead and just tip West Coast, I think, because I won't be watching because it's a terrible game, but West Coast, I think, yeah.
Definitely West Coast. Dogs don't want to win. West Coast need to win.
Even with all the outs.
I think they might scare them in the first half, but besides that, West Coast pretty comfortable tip.
Remaining mathematical possibilities to make the 8 West Coast.
And nothing but.
Yep.
The last game of the round, well, not the last game of the round, the last game that we'll cover today is Port Adelaide versus Brisbane at Amy Stadium. Again,
so interesting.
It's really not enticing Sunday football, aside from Sydney versus Richmond.
We're enticing now.
How do we get excited about this one?
Well, I think
it
keeps open the marginal top 8 race.
The mathematical possibility grows.
Yeah, because I think if Port win, I think that's all wrapped, done and dusted, really. I know mathematical possibility will be brought out 1,000,000 times in the next few weeks, but I think it's done and dusted.
Rapper, that would be my rap name.
What?
MC Mathematical Possibility.
You should quit rapping.
Thank God we're close to being over.
Well, Brisbane have shown that they're capable of beating anyone, really. They beat Geelong, they beat Essendon. Admittedly, they did take 2 very big efforts, but and they beat the Eagles last year with a great Polkinghorne torp with about a minute to go. But
Chad Wingard is a gun.
He is.
All
He's going to
Australian.
win.
One of the best young players.
I don't think so. I don't think he'll make the 40 squad. I think. I don't think he'll make the final team.
He'll make half forward flank.
Ooh, big tip.
Eve's big call.
Straight on.
We
a
should
half
make
forward
that a
flank.
weekly
Weekly segment.
Eve's big call.
Even if he's not on, we get him to call in and just say something outrageous.
We call him and wake him up.
Ethan, wake up! We need a big call.
Melbourne to lose. Because that's such an outrageous call.
I personally am looking forward to the tantalising matchup that is Alapati Carlisle playing on Daniel Merritt in the full forward position. You know,
let's get so excited.
Go home and go to bed and just completely ignore football for the rest of today because this is a terrible day.
No, you've got to wake up at 4:30.
Yeah, I could, or I could also not. So Port Adelaide win today. They can pretty much sew up the coveted 9th position, which of course becomes
the
8th.
wild card.
The wild card position, of course.
No, they'll move into the 8th.
Would they? Yeah, they would too.
They'll leapfrog.
So Carlton become the wild cards.
Carlton become the wild card.
Wild card, bitches.
Can anyone see
Carlton go to 9th/8th?
Can anyone see Brisbane winning?
I can see them winning, but I don't think they will.
All right, so you're going to tip Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide.
I too am tipping Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I don't see why people are rating Brisbane such a chance. So
because they beat Geelong and Essendon.
Yeah, but who else?
Were they both at the Gabba?
They were both at the Gabba.
Yeah.
No, Essendon was at Etihad, but Essendon were woeful that day.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Port.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one too.
I really forgot who was playing.
That's how much vested interest in this contest. We're starting to forget who the teams actually are.
And they've got Port Adelaide have actually got. In a few weeks, it was they're going to be wearing their prison bars, right? The
wannabe Collingwood, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fitting for a state.
Which Eddie Maguire gave his blessing for, which was
the first original Magpies.
Yeah. So again, thank you very much for listening to Bound for Glory. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Bound for Glory as well as on Facebook, and be sure to check out boundforglorynews.com for all your footy news, fantasy footy advice, and most importantly, the best under-18s coverage in the country. And as well, give Bound for Glory News a follow on Twitter and a like on Le Facebook. And you've been listening to Bound for Glory. See you same time next week. Bye.
I'm invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?